Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Summon Skull deck profile. And this is an awesome deck that has some really amazing tech cards in it to be able to go into some amazing boss monsters, and to be able to just summon out some nostalgic cards like the ever-powerful Black Skull Dragon. Yes, you can summon this card in this deck, which is amazing and really cool, and you actually can even use it in the deck in multiple different ways. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have all sorts of awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. And without further ado, let's get straight on into this, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Archfiend's Awakening, because we play every single one of the Archfiend retrains of Summon Skull in this particular deck, between the new ones, between the Synchro, Xyz, Fusion, and Ritual versions. So what this card does is you can Ritual summon this card with Contract with the Abyss, and this card's name becomes Summon Skull while in the field, but it still is treated as an Archfiend card as well. You can't really decide what it is. And then it can't be destroyed by battle either, except by battle with a ritual monster, and cannot be destroyed by monster effects except with ritual monsters. And if this ritual summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Summon Skull from your hand, deck, or grave, which is a really powerful effect just to give you an additional monster on your side of the field. And it's an awesome card to get out of on the field because a lot of decks don't actually play ritual monsters, and so unless you're going up against a deck like Necros or Drytron, this deck is going to just completely dominate once you summon out Archfiend's Awakening. We then play 3 copies of Summon Skull, because you got to play 3 copies of Summon Skull in this particular deck because it is going to float into this card so much, and is actually Yugi's ace card, not a Tim's, not Yami Yugi like Millennium Puzzle Yami Yugi, but Little Yugi's actual ace card back from the original Yugioh, which is really cool. So what this card does is basically it's a vanilla monster that you're going to be using for all your different fusion plays, and basically the central focus of the entire deck. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon. So Red Eyes Black Dragon helps out a lot in the deck because it helps you go into your Black Skull Dragon or your Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, and it's also a really helpful card to go into some other fusion monsters in the extra deck. We're then playing a single copy of Dark Magician. Yeah, we're playing a single copy of Dark Magician because you can go into Dragoons in this particular deck. Because if you establish Dragoons with a copy of Archfiend's Awakening, your opponent is going to have a really tough time to be able to deal with your copy of Archfiend's Awakening, because the only thing that can deal with it is a ritual monster or a spell or trap. And so dealing with that card with anything but a spell or trap, your copy of Dragoons can negate, and so basically this card turns into an invincible monster with Dragoons protecting it. We then play 3 copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. Keeper of Dragon Magic is a really good card because if this card is normal or special summon, you get to discard a card to add 1 polymerization normal spell or a fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand. You can reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck to special summon 1 monster from your graveyard that's specifically listed on that fusion monster in face down defense. So for example, if my Archfiend's Manifestation, or better yet, my Black Skull Dragon list Red Eyes Black Dragon and my copy of Summon Skull, I can reveal this in the extra deck and then special summon from the graveyard a copy of Summon Skull or Red Eyes Black Dragon to then use with the polymerization in my hand that I've searched off this card to be able to go into another fusion play. We then play 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hand because it's probably the best normal summon in the entire deck, because when this card is normal or flip face up, you get to add 1 ritual monster or 1 ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect just to get you additional plays. We then play a single one of in the deck, which is a single copy of Yugioh. This card is good. I like it. I don't know why I like this card in this deck. It's really good actually because during the battle phase you can special summon it to your side of the field. And if you do, it gains 1,000 attack, or you can tribute it you gain 1,000 life points, and you can also tribute it during either player's battle phase. You can tribute this card and then target 1 face-up monster you control, and it gains 1,000 attack until the end of the next turn. So you can boost up your monsters by 1,000 attack. It's a really good card overall because during either player's damage step or battle step, you get to special summon it from your hand. So it can give you an additional monster in main phase 2 to go into a copy of Dragoons for an additional negation, which I guess is why I really like this card. We then play 3 copies of Red Resonator. Red Resonator is a good normal summon in the deck, which is why I actually play the Duragato with the copies of the Keeper Dragon Magic and the Manjus, because you can use this card really easily in the deck to be able to normal summon on your side of the field to go into a copy of your Anaconda, which is a really powerful card in the deck to go into your copy of Dragoons, or your Black Skull Dragon, or your copy of Archfiend Manifestation. There's just a lot of cards in this deck that help you go into your fusion plays, which I'm leaning very heavily towards the fusion plays in this particular deck. I don't know if you guys can notice, but this card really helps out going into a couple of link monsters that help you go into your fusion plays in turn. Plus, it helps you synchro summon into the Archfiend's Call, which is a really powerful synchro monster in the deck too. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn because it's going to help you revive your cards out of the graveyard, which I guarantee you're going to be sending a lot of them to the graveyard. And this card's just overall really good. We play 3 copies of Polymerization, which is a really powerful card in the deck too that helps you fusion summon into your copy of Archfiend's Manifestation, Black Skull Dragon, Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, or Dragoons, depending on what you're using and what you have in your hand. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion lets you send it to the graveyard with your copy of Anaconda, and then this card is really good because it lets you fusion summon into a card that specifically lists a Red Eyes monster, or is this going to use a Red Eyes monster as a material. It's just really a helpful card to be able to go into your Dragoons or your copy of Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. We then play a single copy of Dragon's Mirror. Now, this is a card I've added in since the last profile because you guys really liked the Black Skull Dragon idea from the last build. And so what you do in this particular build is you can actually use the copy of your Red Eyes Fusion to send from your deck to the graveyard the cards to summon out your copy of Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. And if you have Dragon's Mirror in your hand, you can then use the materials that are in the graveyard to go into the original Black Skull Dragon during the next turn, which is really powerful to summon out a 3200 beat stick. Yes, it's a vanilla, but you need it to be able to reveal with your copy of Fusion Deployment, and it's just really nostalgic to drop a Black Skull Dragon against somebody in the modern metagame and win, because it's really funny and really awesome. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is a really powerful fusion spell in this deck because basically what you can do with this card is you can use any dark monster plus a Summon Skull to go into your copy of Archfiend's Manifestation, or you can go into your copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon using 2 dark monsters your opponent controls. So you have plenty of targets in the extra deck to go into with this card as well, which is what's really, really cool about this card. We then play, because we play a lot of dark monsters in this deck, you're going to be playing 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, because Allure of Darkness is just going to help you dig to get your fusion spells out of your deck and get your particular monsters that you need. I'm not really afraid in this deck to banish a Dark Magician off my copy of Allure, but I really don't want to have to. But sometimes you'll get a copy of like Summon Skull in your hand, and it's like, I don't really need this, and so I'll banish it because I play Advanced Ritual Art to get out the copy of Archfiend's Awakening, or you'll draw multiple Archfiend's Awakenings that you don't need to be able to banish off this card. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites lets us add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from our deck to your hand, and then you can add a ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. So if you already summoned a copy of Archfiend's Awakening, this card can basically get you an essential second Archfiend's Awakening to your side of the field. You play 2 copies of Contract with the Abyss, because you're going to use this card to summon out your Archfiend's Awakening of the Archfiend from your hand, which is really, really good. And then we play 3 copies of Advanced Ritual Art, which is the main way that you actually go into that card, into Archfiend's Awakening every single time, because you're going to send a Summon Skull from your deck to the graveyard and then essentially summon this card to your side of the field from your hand. So it's essentially a 2-card combo to get out your really powerful boss monster. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment because you're mainly focusing on fusion summoning in this deck anyways. So this card's really good in the deck because it lets you reveal a fusion monster from your extra deck, and then you can special summon one of the materials from the deck. So for example, if I revealed Archfiend Manifestation, I can special summon Summon Skull from the deck. If I reveal my copy of Black Skull Dragon, I can special summon my copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon or Summon Skull, which is the main reason I play this card in the deck. Or if I reveal my copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, I can special summon out a copy of Dark Magician, which is pretty good. I really like that ability just to be able to get monsters out of the deck and get big beat sticks on my side of the field, either a 24 to 2500 beat stick, and use them as XZ material, use them as synchro material, use them as link material, whatever you need, this card's got you. So the only downside of this card is it locks you into fusion summoning for the rest of the turn. So that's it for the monsters guy, or the spells and the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Archfiend's Manifestation. This card is really, really, really good in the deck because it has the ability, this card's name becomes Summon Skull on the field. It just requires a dark monster, any dark monster, and a Summon Skull to go into this card. But it's still treated as an Archfiend card, and all Summon Skulls you control gain 500 attack, boosting them all up to 3,000 attack each. Also has the ability that if this Fusion Summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect or any reason, then you can special summon one Summon Skull from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is a really powerful effect just to get a Summon Skull on your side of the field. It replaces itself. Every single one of the Archfiends, which is Summon Skull variants that are Archfiend monsters like this, that are in the extra deck, share that ability to float, which is really good. You play a single copy of Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, so you have to use a copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon and Archfiend or Summon Skull to go into this card. But once you get it out on your side of the field, it's a really powerful burn monster because it has the ability you can special summon this card once per turn, and if this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. And if damage calculation is performed involving this Fusion Summon card at the end of the battle phase, you can target one of your Red Eyes normal monsters in your graveyard and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the monster, and then shuffle it back into the deck. So then you can use it again to go into Dragoons or Black Skull Dragon if you want to. It depends on what you particularly want to go for at that point. We then play a single copy of Black Skull Dragon. Black Skull Dragon is really good in the deck too because you can reveal it to get your particular monster that you need out of the deck with Fusion deployment, and you can use Dragon's Mirror to go on this card really easily. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. I just play one in this deck because usually I'm picking either this or the Archfiend to go into, depending on which one I'm going first or second. If I'm going second, sometimes I'll actually go into the Archfiend just to burn my opponent out for their last 2,400. Kind of depends. You got to kind of read the situation to kind of go after them. If they don't have any face-up monsters, I won't go into this because I can't pop cards, but this card is really interesting to actually play in the game, and it's really fun to go into. We then play a single copy of Starving Venom because it's a super poly target, one copy of Archfiend's Call. Archfiend's Call has the ability that it becomes a Summon Skull while it's on the field, but it's also always treated as an Archfiend card as well, and your opponent cannot target any Summon Skull you control with card effects, and if this single summon card is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, then you can special summon a Summon Skull from your hand, deck, or graveyard as well, so it floats. We then play a single copy of Archfiend's Ascent. So Archfiend's Ascent is kind of neat. It's the XZ version. It's probably the worst of them all, in my opinion, because it's so hard to get out compared to the other ones. But it has the ability that it's always treated as an Archfiend, and it has the ability that if a Summon Skulls you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can detach material from this card instead. So it just gives you a little bit of a protection effect, which I really don't like because they already float. So this card's probably the worst of them all, and if I was going to cut any of them, it would probably be this one. We then play a single copy of Utopia Beyond because it's a better link, or it's a better rank 4 than it. And what this card does is basically reduces the attack of all opponent's monsters to 0, and then once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach material from this card and then target one face-up XZ monster you control, and that's a Utopia monster, and that monster in your graveyard, banish it, and for the first target, if you do, you special summon the second target, and then gain 2550 life points. But basically, the main effect of this card is that it's going to reduce the attack of the opponent's monster down to 0, which is the big effect. We then play the same copy of Dagusto Emerald because it can revive cards from the graveyard that are normal monsters, and it can target up to 3 cards in your graveyard and shuffle up 3 monsters in your graveyard and shuffle them back in the deck. So if you use like Red Eyes Fusion and you want to get your copy of your Red Eyes Black Dragon back in the deck, you can. One copy of number 60 because it can double the attack of a monster, bring something back from the graveyard, or let you draw 2 and discard 1. One copy of Borrelsaur because you can OTK with it pretty easily. One copy of Cross Sheep because Cross Sheep can get you additional monsters out of the graveyard with your copy of a Fusion Summon, which is pretty good. And then we play a single copy of Anaconda because Anaconda basically copies any of your fusion spells in the entire deck, which is really, really good because it says right here that you can pay 2,000 to send a fusion or a polymerization to the graveyard, and then you copy the effect, which guess what? This is actually a fusion spell, and you can copy this if you need to, if you've already used Red Eyes Fusion. So that's it for the deck, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's a really insane deck, actually, with the amounts of nostalgia that you can actually put in this deck. Because you're playing Summon Skull, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and your copy of, you're playing Summon Skull, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and a copy of Dark Magician, which is what's really crazy. And it's centrally focused around using the Summon Skulls to get out your Ritual monster and your Fusion monster. If you can summon out both of these, or Dragoons and the copy of Awakening, you've done very well, and your opponent's going to have a tough time dealing with you. So that's it for this deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.